10 years from 20. As Jackie comes in, we'll play around with the screen shares and so on.
Someone else is in my room.
Yeah, I can see.
Oh, thanks. You fixed the chairs, did you? Oh, thanks. Oh, no, I've got a chair in the way. So I'll fix it. Oh, no, you can't drag it out. Is that better? Yes. Now there's a bin there instead. Okay.
I can hardly see.
Yeah. Mm.
Better?
Mm.
I can see.
So that was Anna, was it?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh, Jackie, how you going?
哎，糟了，这个声音是连的哪一个？
哦，是这个没问题的，有声音。有声
Hi,
音。
Mr. Gabi.
Hi, how are you? 晚上好。
Nice to meet you, but I can't hear you.
他应该静音的。
Can you hear me now?
Okay, give me a second.
应该是他静音。
How are we going now?
No voice. Still can't hear from you.
I can hear you, Daryl.
Okay, so we're hearing Karen and myself.
Only from my side it's mute.
No, not your side mute. We should be right.
Okay, give me a second, just checking.
那我们
Okay,
是
you have-
听不见他们的声音是吗？
对。
应该呀。哦，他们是可以听见你的声音是吗？
对。
让我打电话问一下。
We can hear you very clearly.
是不是我可以把这个手机放在这儿，你就可以一直听得到？
但会有回音。
我可以戴个耳机吗？
可以试一下。
我现在在戴耳机。喂，哎，你家好，那个你可以听见 Jackie 的声音，但是 Jackie 在电脑前面听不见那个顾比和 Karen 的声音。
他听见顾比和 Karen 的声音。
对。
你刚才不是跟顾比讲话了吗？
对，但是我当时是拿着我的手机，我开了 Go to Webinar， 所以我能跟他讲话，我能听到他说话，然后他也能听到我说话。就是因为他一直都可以听到我说话，我只是听不到他说，但是因为我开了手机，所以我能从手机里听到他讲话。但是没关系，我可以让 Jackie 接我这个手机的耳机，然后就是这样就可以了。OK， 我们就这样做吧。拜拜。
拜拜。
现在听到吗？
那我就把手机，我这手机在充电，你那儿有没有可以充电的地方？
有。连耳机没问题。
那就这个是可以的。不是大问题。OK， 插上。
OK， 听到吗
？Yes, yes. OK， 我接一下耳机。蓝牙。
That's good.
Okay, but is my picture on screen as well?
Yep. You can a little bit up a little bit.
Yeah, that's okay, King. Okay, let's go to Karen's screen.
Okay, I just change the presenter to Miss Karen.
How's that? You can see my slide?
Yes.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now it's good. We will start from 8. Is that okay with Gabi?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, good. This is the first time I see Miss Karen Wong.
Yeah, I'm always hiding.
Okay, so
I
after
think
we've made
you should. Sorry.
after we've made the introduction, I'll turn my camera off and just leave you and Karen, and then I'll come back on during the break.
Okay, no problem. Okay, this should show my PowerPoint and to introduce you to and
Right.
Yeah. OK， 你用更多呢看一下我现在是不是 OK 的？
对，我现在就要去看了。
你看一眼我现在配置。So everything is good now. The correct page.
Correct page.
Yes.
OK, thank you. 今天晚上感谢我们邀请了戴尔·顾比先生和 Karen 女士来参加我们的线上的讲座。两位嘉宾呢都是国际投资大师。首先呢，我们做一个免责声明，就是我们今天的任何的言论呢，不代表 GO Markets 的观点和立场也没有考虑到大家的个人目标和财务状况所以大家做投资的时候还要根据自己的情况来衡量。那么公司的简介非常简单，很多朋友都熟悉我们。我们是06年在澳大利亚成立的，目前呢提供股票、外汇、石油、黄金、白银和全球的投资都在一个账户里。那我们也是在过去的几年时间里面被评为最佳的客户服务和最佳的教育课程为大家做金融类的一些建议和一些策略上的分析。另外呢，非常荣幸的是，我们今年呢赞助的切尔西球队获得了欧冠冠军那我们也希望各位投资者能在金融市场上跑赢市场大盘，夺得冠军。那么我本人呢，简单介绍一下，就是目前 GO Markets 中文部分析主管，那么同时呢也是澳洲统计学家 FINSA 协会会员。我用的时间很快因为我们今天的主要内容都是交给2位嘉宾。那么后面的呢，我就暂时不多说了。Just introduce Mr. Gabi and Miss Karen, and they are very famous investors in globally, I think. How's your performance since last year? I think you should make a lot of profit from the market year. Yeah. Okay, let's just change the presenter to Miss Gabi and his part is the first part for tonight. So if who have any questions, we can show from the audience. And Mr. Gabi, do you have time to answer this question after your part?
可以。
Okay. I just change the presenter to Mr. Gabi.
No， 不是，现在你是 Karen。
Karen will start from.
对。
Okay.
PPT 调到首页，你的 PPT 调到首页，现在是你的另一个屏幕，你没有调到那个大屏幕上。
那现在呢？
你调一下。
你坐过来吧，因为我什么都不知道。
他是要翻译吗？
Okay, should be okay now.
So you can see my screen now?
Yes, perfectly.
Okay. So I'll start?
Yes, we can start now.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Thank you everyone for joining me this evening.
非常感谢大家今天晚上来参加。
Tonight I'm going to talk about a really good skill to have as a trader.
今天晚上会给大家讲如何成为一个优秀的交易员，
To be able to recognize a trending stock in less than 60 seconds.
如何在60秒之内辨别出来非常有趋势的股票。
Take a look at these 3 frogs.
看这3幅图，3个青蛙。
The brightly colored frogs are poisonous.
最亮的就是最有毒的。
You would take only seconds to see the ones that are poisonous.
你们会有几秒钟的时间来判断出来最有毒的那只青蛙。
Good stocks might take a little longer to recognize.
好的股票呢，就可以需要更长的时间来判断。
When opening a chart, we want to be able to see quickly if a stock is good in less than 60 seconds.
那我们给大家提供就是如何在很快的时间里面60秒判断出来好的股票。
I will be covering the methods on finding stocks,
那我们的话题就是从如何筛选股票开始，
how to use the Guppy Multiple Moving Average, the GMMA, for trend identification,
如何利用顾比均线来作为趋势的判断。
then I will share some trades using the GMMA for initial trend analysis.
那同样用顾比均线来做股票的交易分析。
Out of the thousands of stocks listed out there in the stock market, how do we make a smaller group?
那我们如何是在市场中筛选出来一小部分的股票呢？
We don't want to spend hours in front of the computer.
我们不想花太多的时间在电脑前。
How do we shorten the list?
我们应该如何做一个股票池的筛选呢？
Technical scans using trading software can make your group of stocks smaller.
技术分析呢，作为指标可以帮助我们进行初次的筛选。
For example, you might program a scan to pick out all the stocks which have made a new high in the last 5 days.
首先第一点就是我们可以过一遍过去的5天时间里面哪些股票创出历史新高。
Scans extract only the stocks you are interested in.
然后再筛选出来哪些股票你是感兴趣的。
Another way of shortening the list is reading newsletters or emails from brokers.
另外一个方式呢，就是从新闻中或者是券商给大家的推荐中筛选出来一部分股票。
Social media can be a good resource.
社交媒体也是一个不错的资源。
Twitter, for example, is full of stocks mentioned on a daily basis.
大部分的信息呢都是在一天一天这样的一个时间段里面就结束了。
The last group is recommendations from any stranger, friend, or relative.
最后一个呢，就是从朋友啊、亲友那里获得的信息。
Once we have the list of stocks, we need to be able to see if it is a good recommendation or not.
如果我们有一个股票池之后呢，我们要去判断哪些是好的建议。
As an example, these stocks were easily identified as trending up on the chart.
这个图就非常清楚的看到了两个股票在过去的表现。
Using just one indicator, the GMMA.
我们用的就是非常简单的顾比均线。
Let's look at how the GMMA works to identify good trending stocks.
那我们现在就看顾比均线怎么来判断股票的交易趋势。
These were the stocks I showed you earlier.
这两个公司就是我们刚刚讲到的。
I've placed the GMMA indicator onto the charts to show you how it looks together with price.
那我现在把顾比均线放到图片上面，让大家看它跟价格的相关表现。
Notice there are two groups, blue and red.
这里有两组线，蓝的和红的。
The lines in each group are exponential moving averages.
它们展现出来的就是移动平均线。
This summarizes how the GMMA helps us to quickly identify the trend on the chart.
这个三个图呢，就是在图表上显示出来，移动平均线的三个趋势。
The blue lines are the moving averages of the short-term group.
蓝色线呢，这一组就是显示短期的趋势。
They show the activity of the traders in the market.
这个就是活跃的交易者市场上的表现。
The red lines represent the long-term group.
红色线呢，代表是长期投资者。
They show the activity of the long-term investors in the market.
他们展现出来是长期投资者在市场的表现。
When the blue lines are above the red lines, there is an uptrend.
当蓝色线在红色线上方的时候，这就会有一个信号出现。
When the lines of the GMMA are compressed, it means an agreement in price is being reached.
这个呢，就是它们的线交织在一起。
There is no trend.
这个情况就是没有趋势。
From here, price may change direction either up or down.
在后面的这个焦点，价格有可能会上，也有可能下。
When the red lines of the GMMA are above the blue lines, there is a downtrend in place.
当红色线在蓝色线的上方的时候，这是一个下降趋势。
The GMMA makes it very clear if a stock is worth analyzing further.
这个顾比均线会比较清晰地表现出来股票的近期走势。
Here's an example of how the GMMA lines might move and change on a chart.
这里就是一个例子给大家展示顾比均线在图线上的表现。
On the left side of this chart, the blue group is above the red group.
在最左边，蓝色线是在红色线上方。
It shows both the short-term traders and the long-term investors are active in the market.
我们看到的就是短期交易者比较激进。
There is a general uptrend.
这就是一个通常意义上的上升趋势。
When the blue group is below the red group, there is a general downtrend.
当蓝色线突破向下，在红色线下方，那这就是一个下降趋势。
When either of these groups compress, it means there is an agreement in price and a potential for a trend change or continuation.
在这段交织的情况下呢，它就会显示出来未来扩张的这个潜力。
After compression, we often see an expansion and separation of the moving average lines.
那我们从这一段可以看到，蓝色和红色线呢已经出现了分叉，所以说有扩张的潜力。
A good example is at the right side of the chart where we see compression, then upward movement of the lines with separation.
那在最右边呢，这个焦点之后呢，我们看到了就是它的红色线和蓝色线就是快速分开。
When the lines begin to separate, we see the beginnings of a potential trend breakout.
那当它线 分散的时候呢，我们就看到了扩张是发生了，它有一个突破。
Widely separated moving averages show strength in the trend.
越来越有距离感的这种向上的趋势就会更加明确。
GMMA trends should be obvious on a chart.
趋势在图表上很清楚的能看出来，
Even a child should be able to see this.
即使是小孩也可以。
It really is that clear.
它就是在那儿。
Before I show you how I use the GMMA, I want to share my trading process.
在展示固比均线之前，要给大家讲一下我的这个交易步骤。
The first point I have covered earlier, which is create a short list of stocks.
之前提到的第一点呢，就是建立一个筛选后的股票池。
Once I have a list of stocks which interest me, I place a GMMA over price.
如果我对这个股票感兴趣，我就会把固比均线放在图表上。
I should be able to see in less than 60 seconds if the stock has potential.
那在60秒之内呢，就能看出来这只股票有没有潜力。
If no, I move on quickly.
如果没有的话，我就把它给丢掉。
If I still like the chart, I place an ATR line underneath price to calculate my initial stop loss, then set a profit target.
如果我对它感兴趣的话，下一步就是把 ATR 这个线放在图表上。
For those who are not familiar, I want to explain the use of the ATR line.
那我就解释一下什么是 ATR 线。
I use the ATR line as an initial stop loss when I open a trade.
我会用 ATR 作为衡量止损的第一个指标。
If my trade goes into profit, I use the ATR line as a trailing stop loss, which moves up as profits go up.
那我会用 ATR 作为一个标准，如果是到达的话，它就止损了；如果是突破了，它就会让利润继续跑。
If price closes past the ATR line, then it's a sign of a trend change and a signal to exit.
但如果是价格接近 ATR， 它有可能会带来的信号。
Next section, trade analysis.
我会在下一个这里面讲一下 ATR 是怎么应用的。
Using the GMMA basics, we will analyze some charts.
用这个 ATR 在图表上分析。
I will show you some stocks I found earlier using some of the sources that I have just gone through.
会给大家分享一些股票啊，就是用之前的信息找到的。
ABR was selected from a technical scan.
我们会用技术上的图形来表现这个左边的。
The criteria for this scan was the exponential moving average of 15 had to be above the exponential moving average of 30.
我们看上面的这幅图是一簇是由15日均线组成的，下面是这个第一条是30日均线的红色。
The blue lines of the short-term GMMA group were above the red lines of the long-term GMMA group.
很明显的就是短期的蓝色均线是在红色的长期均线之上的。
This was in the order of an uptrend.
这个就是刚刚说的向上的一个趋势。
The widely separated red lines of the long-term GMMA indicated strong support from the long-term investors for the uptrend.
逐渐走宽的这个向上的红色线的间距，给价格形成了强有力的支撑。
The long-term of the blue lines of the short-term GMMA had compressed slightly 2 candles back and were now beginning to expand up and out.
看到的就是在长期趋势上面，蓝色的短期线回调到红色的支撑线之后，很快又开始回踩向上。
This uptrend had potential.
这个向上还是有潜力的。
I entered at the blue arrow.
我们看一下这个蓝色箭头。
The ATR line drawn marks my initial stop loss, and I set a profit target of $2.42.
我用 ATR 设的止损线呢，就是在这里，然后离场的价格呢是在2.4毛2。
Price traveled sideways for a number of days.
价格呢继续往上走了几天。
The compression of the short-term GMMA signaled a general agreement in price.
价格上显示的它们的这个均线和 ATR 相互靠近。
Price started to move up at the same time the short-term GMMA started to expand and move upward.
短期突破之后呢，我们看到了短期均线开始快速扩张。
The long-term GMMA also started to move up and was well separated, showing good support for the uptrend.
长期的红色均线呢，也是表现不错，开始出现了有距离感的这种上升。
As price rose, so did the ATR line.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry. As price rose, so did the ATR line. So as price
价格
went
还是
up,
在 ATR 上面。
I moved my stop loss up, matching the price on the line.
我会移动 ATR 线呢，让它一直是在这个价格线上面。
This method protects profit along the way as price rises.
这个会让利润一直进行下去。如果是价格持续上升的话，
My profit of $2.42 was reached, where I have drawn the dotted line.
当我画这个离场的盈利均线的价格，我其实是离场的。
I exited the next day at $2.45 as marked by the yellow star.
在黄色的这个星星的这个地方呢，我就离场了，价格是2.4毛5。
After the trade was closed, the blue lines of the short-term GMMA fell through the red lines of the long-term GMMA.
在刚刚画的这个地方呢，短期均线蓝色呢快速下跌，穿破了红色长期均线。
The trend has now changed to a downtrend.
那趋势就变了，从向上变成了向下趋势。
I found this stock mentioned on Twitter.
我把这个放到了推特上面。
The tweet claimed BWX was moving up this week.
BWX 这个股票呢，这周要向上走。
How exciting, I thought.
我觉得好激动啊！
When I opened the chart, I saw the blue lines of the short-term GMMA were below the red lines of the long-term GMMA.
当我打开股比均线的时候呢，我们看到的是蓝色的短期均线在红色长期均线下方。
This was a downtrend.
那这个是一个向下的趋势。
Disappointingly, there was no sign of an uptrend that I could join.
那非常沮丧的是，我没有发现让它价格向上的长期看涨趋势出现。
Entering at this point would have been risky.
那么从这个价格进场就比较有风险。
Let's see where price went next.
那我们看价格怎么变。
Over the next few days, the short-term GMMA passed up and through the long-term GMMA.
那在接下来2天时间，短期均线暴涨，冲破了长期均线。
Aggressive traders entered around here.
激进的投资者们就在这里进场了。
For those needing more certainty, the blue arrow showed an area where both the short-term GMMA and the long-term GMMA separated and started to slope upwards.
我们在后面这个就可以看到，短期的投机者呢，已经是跑在了长期投资者的前面，价格开始出现了上涨。
At the far right side of the chart, the trend has now changed to a downtrend.
那后面呢，这个就出现了变化反转。
Being able to read the charts means we can find better entry points, instead of relying on one tweet where the entry point was risky.
Sorry, Miss Karen.
Yes.
My hair is strange, so I just need some help from my colleague.
Oh, yes, yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, give me a second, please.
Mm-hmm.
微生态严重。 因为是从那个手机，就是我每次说话我都要听我自己的回声。
今天还没有再见。
没事，我就。然后给我看。Sorry, it's gonna. I'm back.
Yes. Do you want me to repeat that? Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. I might break up the sentence a little bit. Okay. Being able to read the charts means we can find better entry points.
那我们仔细的看了这个图表之后呢，只能发现很好的进场价格。
Instead of relying on one tweet where the entry point was risky.
那价格在推特上展现出来，进场价呢是非常有风险。
Let's look at the profit outcomes.
那我们看一下盈亏比。
If you made a risky entry based on the tweet, you would have made 16% profit.
那如果是在推特上给到的进场价，我们的盈利是16%。
If you made an aggressive entry as soon as the short-term GMMA started to expand out, you would have made a profit of 7%.
如果我们是在后面顾比均线出现进场分叉的这个时机呢，我们赚的钱是7%。
The safer entry point would have yielded a 4% profit.
最保险的进场价格会给我们带来4%的收益。
This is an example of a not so good GMMA pattern.
这个呢就是另外一个例子，是顾比均线的。
IRI was recommended in a broker newsletter.
IRI 这家公司呢是推荐了这个股票在报纸上。
On the daily chart, the blue lines of the short-term GMMA had just crossed up through the long-term GMMA.
在左边这幅图呢，短期的蓝色线呢刚刚突破红色的长期线。
Compression of the long-term GMMA meant that the investors were not very active in this stock.
交织在一起的线呢，表现了投资者在目前呢还是有一定的分歧。
But if you look at the weekly chart on the right, it showed a nice stable uptrend.
但是如果我们把图形换成周线的话，那我们就会发现右边的趋势非常明确了。
Ideally, the better setups show good GMMA patterns both on the daily chart as well as the weekly chart.
这个时候我们再看的话，就是周线和日线图上面顾比均线给到的图形都非常不错。
An entry was made as marked, followed by sideways price action.
入场价格呢，我们给它标出来就是蓝色箭头，那么后面的价格走势也给出来了。
Both the short-term GMMA and the long-term GMMA were slightly compressed.
两者就是长期和短期的价格均线呢有一点点的分叉。
When you see the GMMA lines going sideways, there is no clear trend.
但是我们看到了顾比均线走势呢没有很明确的趋势方向。
Some traders might close their trade at exit A.
那么有一些投资者就会在第一个 A 的离场价格离场。
Some traders might continue to hold and wait for a more obvious trend to emerge from the compression.
有的投资者呢就会继续持有一段时间，去看有没有更多的机会。
Like we see on the right side of the chart.
那就像我们在右边看到的这个图形一样。
Exit B showed a delayed exit at a lower price and a larger loss.
那 B 的这个离场价格呢，就会显示出来更大的亏损和更晚的离场。
GMMA is good for recognizing high probability trades and also low probability ones as well.
那顾比均线给到大家呢更大的盈利可能性，那么同时也能够给我们及时的离场。
This is a stock recommended by Uncle Stephen.
这个股票呢是 Steven 叔叔给推荐的。
I'm always interested when someone tells me about a stock.
我非常感兴趣，就是跟他交流一下股票。
When you know how to read the GMMA, you will be able to analyze the stock for yourself.
当我们能用顾比均线的时候，我们就能用它来自己判断股票的走势。
This chart looked good.
这个图表看起来还不错。
The short-term GMMA was sitting above the long-term GMMA in the order of an uptrend.
短期均线在长期红色均线上方，并且呢有一个向上的趋势。
The blue lines of the short-term GMMA were beginning to expand out.
我们看到短期蓝色均线呢开始快速扩张。
And the red lines of the long-term GMMA were showing good support for the uptrend.
红色的长期均线对上涨趋势形成了一定有力的支撑。
This stock had good potential. Let's see where price went next.
这个股票有不错的潜力，我们看一下价格怎么走。
I opened a trade in INR as marked by the blue arrow.
我给大家展示一下这个整个的图表。
The ATR line drawn marked my initial stop loss and I set a profit target.
我用 ATR 还是给出了止损价格，并且呢设置止盈的离场价。
Price continued to close higher.
价格继续上涨。
Both GMMA groups showed widely separated lines, which was a good indicator of support for the uptrend.
固比均线开始分开，距离形成了非常有强有力的支撑。
As my trade became profitable, I used the ATR line to protect my profits.
当我开始盈利的时候，我用 ATR 来保护我的利润。
Moving my stop loss up as price went up.
我的止损是跟着我的价格上涨不停上移。
Price reached my target and I closed my trade at 42 cents as marked by the yellow star.
价格继续上涨，我的盈利呢是在4毛2的价格离场，就是黄色小星星。
After the trade was closed, the GMMA now showed a downtrend.
当我的交易结束之后呢，固比均线显示出来了一个下降的趋势。
In summary, the GMMA is useful for any time frame in many markets.
总结来讲的话，固比均线其实在大部分的金融市场都可以应用。
This includes FX trading, which I will talk about in my presentation next week.
那么其中也包括外汇交易，会在下周我的演讲中讲到。
The GMMA tells us if we should go long or short, and it also tells us if we should be staying out of the trade.
固比均线会告诉我们应该是买涨还是做空，同时告诉我们是否应该远离市场。
Lastly, the GMMA enables us to spot a trend in less than 60 seconds.
很关键的就是它可以在短短60秒之内告诉我们趋势。
If you are interested in learning more, Daryl Guppy and I have a book coming out at the end of June.
顾比先生和我的书呢会在6月底出这本书。
Also, you are very welcome to read the articles on my website at www.karenwong.net.
也欢迎大家记住下面的网址3w.karenwong.com.net sorry 阅读我的文章。
I wish you success in your trading.
希望大家能在投资越来越成功。
Thank you for your attention.
谢谢大家。 Hi, Mr. Gabi. Welcome back.
Okay, you need to throw the screen to me.
Okay, no problem.
It should. Okay, just confirm you can see that screen.
Yes.
Okay. 女士们、先生们、朋友们，晚上好。
女士、先生、朋友们，大家晚上好。
Karen has talked about how we can select a stock within 60 seconds. I want to talk about how we can select a foreign currency trade in 60 seconds.
Karen 刚刚给我们讲了如何在60秒钟选择股票，那么我今天给大家讲的就是在60秒选择外汇交易。
And next week, we're going to swap it around.
下周呢，我们会把它们混在一起来讲。
I will show you how I manage some stock trades, and Karen will show you how she manages intraday FX trades.
那下周我会给大家讲我的股票投资，那么 Karen 会给大家讲她的外汇投资。
So how do we start?
那我们怎么开始呢？
In the next 30 minutes, I want to talk about how we create a foreign currency stock pool. I want to look at the analysis tools, and then how we select the best opportunity and the result.
那接下来的时间呢，我就会按照PPT 上讲到的，选择一个外汇的交易池子，另外呢，用分析工具去判断、筛选，并得出最终的结果。
And to the end, we will look at the application, how it actually develops.
那我们最后呢，就是看一下怎么在所有的产品里面去应用。
Now, the important thing to remember is that we are looking at the strategy for a start before we decide exactly which stock or which currency pair we're going to trade.
那最简单的就是我们要在这个应用策略下面去判断市场，尤其是股票和外汇两个市场的走势。
So where do we start?
那我们就从这儿开始吧。
We start with the Guppy Traders website because each day we put up the ADR values.
那我们为什么用顾比均线作为开始呢？是因为它表现出来的是 ADR 的这个价值。
We list the top 9 ADR values over the 5-day period.
那我们用的是过去5天的这个 ADR 的数据。
Now, these are important because we know statistically that there is a very, very high probability that tomorrow's trade will reach 75% of that ADR value.
那我们为什么觉得它非常重要呢？是因为通过交易上数据信息显示出来呢，它是有75%的成功率吧。
How high? How high is the probability?
这个是正确的可能性吗？
There is an 85% probability that tomorrow's price action will reach 75% of the 5-day average range of price.
那到明天的价格，我们会有85%的概率，然后达到过去5天75%的价格波动区间。
That means that GBP NZD with 135 pips on 5-day ADR will return about 101 pips.
那就意味着以英镑和纽币来讲，是135的价值在5天的 ADR 数据上面，但是呢，在未来可能会回调波动10个基点。
Euro NZD, GBP CAD will return about 89 pips.
那欧元对纽币、英镑对加元呢，都是会表现出89个基点的回报。
Sounds pretty good, doesn't it?
这是听起来非常美好的。
All we have to do is take GBP NZD at 135 pips, and we can pick up a 100 pip trade.
那我们接下来就是交易英镑对纽币，我们大概会有101个点的利润。
Not so fast. It's not quite that easy.
并不是那么简单的，到目前为止。
So what is ADR? ADR sum up.
ADR 是什么呢？
The average daily range is a simple average calculation of each day's move for the past 5 days.
ADR 就是计算平均每日的价格波动范围，那么我们给出来的是过去5日的平均价格波动范围。
So we've moved 100 pips, 130, 90, 80, and 90. We simply add that up, 490 pips, divide by 5. So the ADR value, the average daily range, is 98 pips.
根据这个例子来讲，过去的5天的波动价格区间分别是100、130、90、80、90，我们把它加总在一起是490除以5天，那每天的平均价格波动范围是98。
It's a magic figure.
这是非常有魔性的数据。
Consistently over the last 10 years, Julian, 85% of the time, the price move is 75% of that 5-day average range.
那过去10年的数据告诉我们，在85%的概率的情况下呢，下一天的价格波动会按照之前5日平均价格范围波动的75%的表现来走。
But one small problem comes in.
这里会有一个小问题。
Is it going to go up or down? 上去下去 We don't know. That's why we have to take a next step in analysis.
Sorry, I didn't hear clearly.
Sure. Okay, so we know there is an 85% probability of making 75% of the 5-day ADR value.
那我们目前知道的就是85%的概率下面，我们能够获得未来价格波动是5日平均价格范围的75%的价值。
但是上去吗？下去吗？ Will it go up or will it go down?
但是到底价格会往上走呢，还是会往下走呢？
For that, we need further analysis.
那这样我们就需要更多的分析了。
Because the 5-day ADR does not tell us the direction of the move.
那就是5日的这个 ADR 分析的方法呢，不能告诉我们接下来的走势趋势。
So we apply a Guppy multiple moving average, exactly the same that Yusha Karen was talking about.
那这个时候我们就会借助顾比均线来去衡量趋势。
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through this list for this day very quickly to identify which is the best opportunity.
我们通过 ADR 这个图表来筛选出来的就是最适合、最值得我们去交易的货币对。
GBP NZD. Is this going to go up or is it going to go down?
英镑对纽币就是我们刚刚筛选出来的，那么价格会往上还是往下呢？
Now this is an MT4 display, so the Hongser is the long-term group of averages.
那这个是 MT4 图表，红色的呢就是长期的均线。
They're not widely separated.
它并没有像刚刚说的一样展开扩张。
So we have it is difficult to say what the direction of the next move is likely to be.
所以这样就很难说接下来的价格走势是向上还是向下的。
So even though this has 135 pips for the total 5-day ADR, it's not the best opportunity.
即使我们知道我们大概率呢会获得110个基点的波动范围，但是我们没有办法把它作为一个非常好的投资。
So we use the Guppy multiple moving average, and Karen has already explained this, so I won't go into too much detail.
那我们又回到顾比均线，刚刚 Karen 女士呢已经给大家简单的讲解了一下，那我接下来再做一些补充。
But we do have a slight difference in the way that we use this.
那我们在这里会有一点点的不同，怎么去应用？
I say aggressive traders move in anticipation of the trend change.
那我会说最好的就是在激进的入场价格预期的点位。
Cautious traders trade the trend breakout.
那么谨慎一点的话，我们就要看它的价格有突破的时候考虑入场。
And conservative traders wait for the breakout to develop and then join it as it begins to rebound.
那还有一种呢，就是趋势变化之后的回调之后再次反弹，确认保守的入场点。
But GBP NZD doesn't really have any strong trend behavior.
但是英镑对新西兰的纽币，我们没有看到非常明显的趋势信号。
So what about Euro NZD? It's had a
那
rapid fall.
我们看一下欧元对纽币，它的价格有没有机会？
So it looks like that fall may possibly continue.
那这个向下的趋势就有可能继续形成。
The only problem is that the long-term group of moving averages,红色的, are not moving down. They are not expanding in their separation.
那这个目前的问题呢，就是红色的长期均线啊，它并没有扩张，还是横盘的状态。
So really, Euro NZD has been moving sideways. So there's a high probability that we'll get another rally back into this area here.
所以这样看的话，欧元对纽币呢，并没有有效突破，它有可能继续回弹到均线的位置。
But there's no clear trending activity.
这也是没有非常明显的趋势。
Next one is GBP CAD.
下一个是英镑对加拿大，
Now this looks interesting. 有意思。
这个很有意思。
First, the long-term group of moving averages has turned down and is widely separated.
首先呢，就是长期的均线红色的是在分开的，并且呢是在向下。
At the other end, the short-term group of moving averages is well below the long-term group and it's widely separated.
第二点呢，就是短期的均线，第一就是它向下，并且在长期均线下方；第二呢，就是它的是扩散状态。
This is a clear trend.
这个趋势就很明显。
And this is a daily chart.
这是日线。
So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to understand the broad picture to be able to identify the best trading opportunity.
那我现在需要做的就是把它的做得更完整，然后去判断最佳的进场价格。
Now my preference is to define this downtrend using average true range.
我接下来需要用的就是 ATR 来判断它的入场点。
Right. So I use an average true range indicator. It's available on MT4 and MT5.
ATR 的这个技术指标是在 MT4 和 MT5 都是可以找到的。
Right. So we set the value. And these values are not correct. It should be showing the direction as down.
这个呢就是 ATR 的参数设置。那么这里呢，它显示的描述是向上的，实际上应该是向下，它写错了。
And 14-day period.
14天的周期。
And the multiplier is 1.
乘数是1。
Now you can change that. You can make it 1.5 or 2 or 0.75. It's up to you. But we find that 1 is best for this type of initial analysis.
那这个指标呢，乘数是可以改的，比方说是变成1.5、0.75都可以。但是在目前的状态里面，我们是认为1是经验告诉我们比较好用的。
Now we're using in exactly the same way that Mr. Karen was showing us.
那我们就会用到这个图表中去看一下它的表现。
In other words, if there is a close above this ATR line, then we would exit the trade.
那我们之前讲到的，只要价格打到了 ATR 上面，我们其实就是出场值。
So what we're looking for here is for price to remain below the ATR line.
那我们在这里需要做的什么呢？就是等待价格呢一直是在 ATR 下方。
So in this trade, we're anticipating that the downtrend will continue and that price will react away from the ATR line.
那个图告诉我们的就是价格呢会持续向下，除非是出现了突破 ATR 反转。
Of course, exactly how we enter that trade and how we manage that trade on an intraday basis, that's something that Nurse Karen will show you next week.
那我们还肯定想知道的就是我们如何在日内的进场点和出场点这方面来考虑。那这些信息呢会在下周的节目中给大家讲。
But for the moment, the important thing is that GBP CAD so far shows the strongest trend behavior and it is compatible with being managed with an ATR stop loss.
那这个图表告诉我们两件事情，就是英镑和加元呢，第一，在固比均线是向下的趋势非常明显；第二个呢，就是符合 ATR 的止损和盈利出场方式。
So that goes on our list.
Go next week.
No, that goes on our list for further investigation.
OK， 就是这个英镑对加元就会放在我们的这个外汇交易池里面作为备选。
Because remember, we are looking at 5 opportunities.
我们是要找5个机会。
I don't know what the next one will look like. It might be better, might be worse.
那我也不知道下一个是更好的还是更坏的。
So the ATR is really critical for the management of trend volatility.
ATR 呢是非常好的来判断价格波动率的一个指标。
ATR was developed by Wells Wilder, a very famous technical analyst. Unfortunately, he passed away about 1 month ago.
Oh, sorry. 发明 ATR 指标的这位先生呢非常出名，但是他1个月前去世。
So it takes, this screen shows the way the ATR is calculated if you are interested in the underlying calculation.
那在标的物这里呢，我们就很清楚的接下来给大家讲一下 ATR 怎么来定价以及它的波动情况。
The important thing with the ATR indicator is it gives us the average true range of price.
它最重要的一点呢，就是给到了我们5日的平均真实波动价格范围。
If volatility is larger than that, then it may be that a trend change is developing. That's what's important about the indicator.
如果 ATR 的数值太大了，也就是意味着它的过去几天的波动数值非常高，那可能未来的趋势会发生一定的改变。
But as you can see, when we apply the ATR value in a downtrend, the ATR value can only move down.
那我们看到的是价格往下走的时候呢 ，ATR 的指标也会跟随往下走。
And the reverse applies when we are using an ATR to define a rising trend. It can only move upwards.
那我们接下来也会去找一些 ATR 向上、价格向上的产品。
So the ATR or the trader's ATR, as we call it, it's like a ratchet or a ladder. It can only move in one direction. That's why it's an effective stop loss.
ATR 的好处呢，就是它只能向一个单一的方向去运作，所以说要么向上，要么向下，作为止损是非常好用的。
So here's the next one on our list, GBP AUD.
这个呢是英镑对澳元。
What does that chart tell you as soon as you look at it?
这个图表告诉我们什么呢？当你第一眼看到的时候
Yusho Karen says we can decide in 60 seconds.
Karen 说我们60秒就能看出来。
I think we can decide in 6 seconds.
我认为我们6秒就行。
There is no trend.
这里没有任何的趋势。
It is moving sideways.
它是可以上也可以下。
Price is oscillating around this center line.
价格围绕趋势这个均线波动。
So there's no real trend that's available.
这儿没有确定的趋势出现。
If we were to trade this, it would only be for a fast-moving rally up or a very fast retreat.
那在刚刚的地方呢，它快速的上涨，然后又回踩又回调。
But some people like that type of trading.
有些人喜欢这种交易方式，
我不喜欢。
我不喜欢。
We look at the ATR, and yes, it can be used to define this beginning of an uptrend.
那我们用 ATR 也有机会来发现价格上涨的趋势的开始起源。
But if you look at the GMMA relationships, there's no trend behavior. The short term and the long term are compressed and together.
但是我们看固比均线交织在这里，长期和短期的均线都缠绕在一起，并没有给我们任何的信号。
So this would give us a rally trade rather than a trend trade.
这个呢，就是告诉我们它是一个短期的相对交易，而不是长期的趋势交易。
So when we go back to this one, GBP CAD, we can see the trend is much stronger, much clearer.
那英镑对加元的这个走势呢，趋势就非常的明显，非常确认。
So we started off with 5 trading opportunities.
那我
And we
们还是
decided to
回
have
到
对不起
，sorry， 就是我们还继续找一些交易机会。
We've looked at each of those 5 very quickly and very clearly. There's only one of them that has a strong trending behavior that offers the potential for a good trade.
那我们也是在一个外汇交易池子里面去筛选，并且最终通过这些技术指标判断出来最容易赚钱、最有明确趋势的产品。
第一点, the downtrend is clear.
第一点呢，就是下降趋势非常明显。
第二点, the GMMA signals are very clear.
第二点就是这固比均线的走势非常确定。
第三点, the ATR is successful in defining the downtrend stop loss.
第三点 ，ATR 可以设置为止损价格。
So that would be the one that would be most useful. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. There is the 5th one, GBP USD.
还有一个英镑对美元。
Useless. 它是
没什么
useless.
用这个。
No trend behavior.
没有任何的趋势发生。
So there are some very short-term daily moves, but there is no strong trend behavior.
它的单日价格波动非常明显，但是没有任何的趋势出现。
So this is the way we developed the strategic trade for the GBP CAD pair.
所以呢，以上呢就是我给大家讲到了做英镑对加元给出来的几点理由。
You can read. I don't have to read it out for you.
大家可以自己读一下。
So how did it develop?
我们应该怎么去应用？
There was our entry.
这是我们的进场价，
Our target exit,
这是我们的出
75%.
场价。
75% of the 5-day value is here.
75%的5日均线波动价格区间呢，就是在这里。
But we were able to take an exit a little bit lower and pick up 191 pips for the trade.
我们就可以选择不错的，在目标价格稍微往下一点点作为出场价格，我们赚了191个点。
But this is a daily chart.
这是日线图。
We managed the intraday trade, this fall here, using a 3-minute chart.
我们在日内上做交易的话，一般会用3分钟的图。
Nusha Karen is the expert in these intraday trades.
Kara 就是非常牛的专家，在日内交易上。
And next week, she will take you through how you manage that type of intraday trade.
下周呢，他就会给大家讲怎么去应用在日内交易上。
And I'll talk about some ways that we manage stock and equity trading.
那我就会给大家讲一些关于股票的一些投资交易。
But the important point here is that we started off with 5 candidates,
5 candidates
5 potential trading opportunities.
我们还是会给大家5个潜在的交易的策略机会。
And we collected them from the Guppy Traders website, those candidates with the 5-day ADR ranges.
那更多信息呢，也可以在顾比先生的网站上看，包括这个 ATR 5日均线的计算方法，还有一些应用等等。
We looked at the top 5.
我们就想找到最优的那5个。
And we use that strategic analysis to identify the best of those opportunities with the clearest trend behavior.
那我们用这些指标来筛选出来，剩的就是最具有方向性的趋势交易。
We have a whole lot of resources that are available. The ATR indicator is available for Metastock users, and it's also available for MT4 users as well.
我们还有更多的学习资源，那大家可以自己上网了解。在 MT4、MT5 上面呢，这些指标很多都是已经免费可以使用的，包括 ATR 以及上面提到的这些。
Now it is time for questions, for either to myself or to Karen.
Okay, my colleagues will give me some questions from audience. 任何人有任何问题，可以在自己的媒体渠道里面跟我们的小助手联系。给我手机。Oh, no question.
就是说去年就看过，
没有问题。
我没想到红的还是这么有个性。
Any people who have questions? 任何人有问题可以在 question 里面打出来。Some people asking information about the shares named CSL. They want to know how do you think the price will be, or how the price will move for the stock CSL.
Okay, you will have to wait a moment until I run this on another screen beside me. And please remember that this is not investment advice.
OK，顾北先生需要一点时间，他要打开软件。
Okay, so if you're looking at CSL, the first thing you do is put a Guppy model for moving average on it. And what do you see?
首先大家把固比均线放在 CSL 的价格上面，我们能看到什么呢？
And I'm sorry, you're going to have to imagine what we see.
大家得想象一下我们这个图片的表现。
Because I have this charting running on my trading computer, not on my normal computer.
那是因为我的这个软件呢放在我的私人电脑上了，没有放到我的这个展示的电脑上。
So the long-term GMMA is well separated. The short-term GMMA is well separated. And the gap between the two averages is also consistently separated.
好消息是短期均线和长期均线它的价格呢都是在扩张的，那么它们的趋势也非常明确，两者也是短期均线和长期均线都是向上。
In that situation, any pullback is a buying opportunity for a continuation of the uptrend.
在目前这种情况下呢，任何的回撤回调都是不错的买入点，因为它的趋势不会改变短期。
And if you apply an ATR, then that is an effective way of defining that rising trend.
那如果我们把 ATR 放在上面呢，我们就会发现更明确的价格，包括它的趋势上标出来它的具体价格。
If you don't have ATR, then you can apply a countback line.
如果我们没有 ATR 的话，我们可以用一个倒数线法则。
It gives very similar values to the ATR value.
它会给我们一个跟 ATR 非常相近的数值。
And calculating the countback line can be easily done by hand.
By hand?
By hand on the screen.
OK.
You can draw.
我们也可以，我们也可以自己画。
And of course, all the information about the countback line is in a number of my books, so it's easy to find.
它其实是非常简单的，可以被发现，就是倒数线法则，我们来画这条线。
So we can say that CSL is a strong, well-established trend that broke out in about April.
我们可以确定的 CSL 是从4月开始呢就已经启动了，目前呢价格走势非常坚挺，下方支撑也非常强。Thank you, Gabby. People also asking information about how to set up the ATR line on MT5 or what's the full name of ATR on MT5.
All right, so ATR in MT4 and MT5 is available in the MT4 store. So it's a separate indicator that you have to apply to purchase to use. But it's not very expensive.
可以在 MT4 上呢，它是需要付费购买，或者是我们通过几个指标，然后自己组合出现。关于这方面呢，大家可以问我们的同事，之后我们可以帮大家去设置。
In the last PPT screen, there is the link through for that. Let me just bring that back up.
Okay.
Anyway, you will have this out as a broadcast, so it will be in the link.
Yes. 会有视频录像，在 PPT 的最后一页呢，上面会有顾比先生的关于 ATR 这些指标的一些链接，大家可以自己去网上下，也可以自己去调整。
More questions?
Yeah, some people asking for the short-term trend lines, they can use 15 days, or what about the days of moving average? It's 15.5 or how many days?
Okay, so the short-term group of moving averages is 3, 5, 8, 10, 12, and 15. And they must be exponential moving averages.
它必须是 essential 的移动平均线。这个 essential 在 MT4、MT5 上面大家可以选啊，就是 moving average 那个选项里面是有的。然后时间我没有记住啊，大家可以问一下我们同事。就是说有5天8天好像。I didn't remember all the days.
Make sure.
Yeah, so you can make a record later.
这个3、5、8、
Wow.
10、12、15。
Wow, perfect.
好不好？
好，这是短期均线。
The long-term group is 30、35、40、45、50 and 60. We go from 50 to 60. And the reason is that the 60-day moving average is commonly used in the United States by investors.
我们为什么选择长期均线呢？是这样的数字，包括到后面是60，是因为美国的投资机构呢，基本上是以60天为一个周期来做投资策略，包括进场和出场。
More questions?
There's one good question I think. For the JBP, NZD, we use the daily chart, but why we use the 3 minutes charts to set up a profit, take profit, or intraday trading?
明白。So we use the daily chart to identify the trading opportunity.
我们用日线来先发现交易的机会。
But when we actually do the trade, we need to manage it very carefully.
当我们要做交易的时候呢，我们要非常谨慎的来对待。
And depending on the currency pair, you may decide to use a 3-minute chart or a 5-minute chart or something similar.
那如果是我们在不同的货币对上，我们可以选择3分钟、5分钟，都是可以的。
So
why is not 30 minutes or 1 hour?
Because 30 minutes or 1 hour is too long.
OK，因为1小时30分钟时间太长了。
对不起。
Sorry, I finished.
Elma? The danger is that the move will be too great. Perhaps Karen can give more of an answer as to why you use a 3 or 5-minute chart once the trade is open.
Karen 女士会给我们大家解释一下为什么用短期的3分钟、5分钟来做判断具体的交易，当我们日内的交易确定趋势的时候。
What was the question again? Sorry.
So why we have identified the day trend on daily charts, and finally we decide the specific trade on the chart for 3 or 5 minutes. It's the range is from 3-5 minutes to the whole day. Why we don't choose 4 hours charts or 15 minutes charts to identify the entry and exit price?
Oh, well, actually, I don't use the 3 and 5 minute charts to manage. I actually do use the 4-hour and 1-hour charts, but it's the same concept. And basically, I use those charts because I want to close the trade before I go to sleep. So I like my sleep. I like to go to sleep so I can manage the trade much better on the lower time frame. But there's not much difference between 3, 5, 1 hour, 4 hours. It's still the same concept. You still see the GMMA lines on the chart, and you can still use an ATR line on the chart. It's still exactly the same trade management.
Okay, I will translate to audience. Karen 女士说，4小时、1小时她也会用，但是呢，因为她想要睡觉，所以说在时间调整上来讲，她更倾向于日内交易呢，是时间周期会偏短一点。同样的，在任何时间段上面，顾比均线和 ATR 都是可以使用的，都是一样的方式。One more question. Is ATR signal?
等一下。So
Okay.
Karen has just explained why trading is so interesting.
Trading is so interesting.
是
也 OK。Karen 只是跟大家讲，重点是交易是非常有意思的。为什么这么有意思？
Because we can both approach the same market in different ways and still make money.
我们就是可以在不同的市场和产品中用同样的一种结合的方式来赚钱，这个非常有意思。
So just as there are many ways to lose money in the market, there are also many ways to make money in the market.
大家有很多方式来亏钱，当然也有很多方式来赚钱。
You should, Karen. 谢谢。
OK. Some people asking, is the ATR indicator good for all stocks?
There is no indicator that is good for all stocks.
OK，ATR 并不是对所有的股票都适用的，没有指标对所有的股票都同时适用。
But there are indicators that are very compatible with some stocks.
当然也会有指标，它是比其他的更明确的对股票价格上走势来判断的话。
So when you are applying an indicator to a stock or a currency, you need to check if it has been compatible and reliable in the past.
那我们如果是要用指标对一个货币对或者是股票应用的话，我们要判断它的可行性，我们要根据它过去的走势，把它放在上面来判断。
And what do we mean by compatible?
什么是 compatible?
Compatible, right?
Yeah.
What it means is that the indicator does not give false exit signals.
那就是一个指标可能不能给出来，同时给出来进场、出场价格的这些信号。
And you know the false exit signal feeling.
有的时候信号是失败的。
It goes down, you take an exit, and then tomorrow it goes up again.
有的时候会发生，当我们进场，然后用指标价格下跌，我们离场，但是第二天价格又飞上去了。
That means the indicator that you were using was not compatible with the stock that you were trading, with its behavior.
这个就说明我们选择的指标对这个股票并不适用。Yeah, understand now.
明白吗？
Yes, thank you, Gabby. They prefer to know how you two have similar or different views about the gold price moving.
Sure, Karen.
Me? I need to see a chart.
Okay. I'm lucky I have a chart sitting beside me. Just 等一下。Again, we apply or start with GMMA analysis.
首先，我们还是从顾比均线开始。
And I start with the weekly chart.
这次我选从周线开始。
And we can see first that the gold price has broken the downtrend that was in place across the previous highs.
那我们可以看到黄金价格呢，在此前是出现了下降趋势，已经冲破坡位了。
We see that the short-term group of moving averages has compressed and moved above the long-term group.
那现在我们看到的就是短期均线，它的价格开始上冲，站在了长期均线上。
The long-term group is also compressed and beginning to turn up.
长期均线也开始有向上的迹象。
So this suggests that there is a trend break developing, but at the moment, we can't really project how high that new trend may go.
那现在我们看到这些信号呢，并不能告诉我们，最终目标能够达到的价格是有多高。
But that's sure, 上去。
就是上去是知道的。Yeah, so Miss Karen don't have the chart.
No.
Okay. So it's a general question about fundamental. Is that okay for you too? The fundamental questions, fundamental analysis.
Fundamental tells a story. Hey.
Yeah, people like to listen stories. Yeah, they're asking about how do you consider about the economics in Australia in the future.
Karen, do you want to answer that one?
I'm technical only, remember?
But you may have some personal views about it. It's very general information.
Right. Some things to consider. 第一点, where are all the Chinese students for the universities?
第一点就是我们在大学里 ，sorry, I can't.
All the Chinese students for universities.
All the
where are they?
中国学生就是不见了，大学里。
对。Where are all the 第二点 where are all the Chinese tourists?
第二点就是中国的旅行团也不见了。
Those are the two largest, the second and third largest export earners in Australia.
这两个都是非常大的这个出口，澳洲出口产业。
You take iron ore out of the equation, where is our export income?
我们现在靠铁矿石出口，但是呢，我们除了这之外的收入从哪来的？
So that tells us that GDP growth cannot continue to be strong.
这个点告诉我们，这 GDP 增长呢不能持续的走强。
It still may take another 6 months or 12 months for that impact to hit the economy, but it will hit the economy.
它接下来会持续6到12个月的时间，来可能对经济会有恢复的作用。
但是 like Karen, I believe what I see in the charts. What I think, it's like reading a novel. 小说. It's interesting, but it's not what I trade with.
那我跟 Karen 的观点是一致的，就是所有的信息都会反映在图表中。那么最终我们还是要在图表上看出来价格的走势，这才是最真实的。
And as we know, Australia, for some reason, continues to be very hostile towards China. So it is unlikely that the Australian economy will benefit from the growth of the Chinese economy.
我们据我所知，现在中澳的关系其实是比较紧张的。如果在这种局势下的话，澳洲的经济很难被中国日益增长的这种经济实力所带动。
So I am not confident about the economy, but there are many opportunities.
虽然我对经济不是很有信心，但是我依旧认为市场中的机会是很多的。 Yeah. One more question for the beginners who just start from for tradings. GMMA, moving average, and ATR, which is better for these people who just start or beginner?
You sure, Karen?
For beginner, I think you
Yeah.
need all of them, really. You need to combine it together into like a trading plan. So you need to have something that identifies the trend, which is the GMMA. And you also need your stop loss, where you get out when you're wrong. And you also need a target profit. So you need the ATR line, you need the GMMA as well.
对于初学者来讲的话，ATR 和顾比均线是要一起用的，因为我们需要通过顾比均线来判断价格走势的趋势，同时我们要通过 ATR 来设立我们的止损和盈利目标价格。
I would agree. 我同意。
Okay. So I think that's good for us tonight. It's almost 9:20 p.m. in Sydney and Melbourne. Thank you very much, Gabby, and thank you very much, Karen. Welcome to here.
Thank you, Jackie.
And thank you for your translation. 你的翻译非常好。
Okay, thank you. It has some issues about the technicals because we just start business in Sydney. It's there are many technical issues, and hopefully everything's good.
No problem. Okay, 回头见。
Okay. Thank you. 谢谢大家。Thank you. Bye, Karen. Bye, Gabby. See you next week.
再见，回头见。
回头见。我们下周感谢大家，我们下周同一时间还会有顾比先生的分享。那么刚刚提到的2个问题，Karen 女士和顾比先生下周都会给大家再做详细的讲解。如果是大家下周有任何的问题的话，大家提前准备一下，这样的话2位回答我们问题的时间会更多一点。那么今天我们就再次感谢大家，时间已经很晚了，我们微信的小助手呢就在屏幕上面，如果是大家想要获得更多关于资讯的这个投资类资讯或者一些分析报告，随时和我们取得联系，那么大家可以截图，然后呢扫码，或者是跟我们的同事联系。那么我们就下周2晚上8点再见，感谢大家。